when I was perusing around the books. I love to walk around bookshops, even if you don't purchase anything. But books and things, I think it's the old CNA at the OR Tambo International Airport. And lo and behold, I came across this book. And if you look at the book, it has a picture of, unmistakable picture, a pencil drawing of the Kaaba, Masjidul Haram in Makkah al Mukarramah, and it was titled "To the Holy Land," something totally different amidst many other different books. And as I go into this book, I find it to be a fully fledged Hajj memoir, and a unique aspect to it. Just to now uh, give me an idea of what this book is as I page through it. It's full of Islamic terminology. It's full of the terms that you would regularly use as a Muslim. And lo and behold, on page 8, there's a forward to the book written by none other than Maulana Abdul Rahman Layli. So this really caught my eye at a mainstream bookstore, a travelogue of the Hajj, and it's fresh off the press. It was published just probably a few months ago, called "To the Holy Land" by Martin Lopes. That's the name he goes by, Muslim brother who had performed the Hajj last year, 2023. And he chronicles in great detail the story of his life, the story of his family, the story of his own challenges, and a very human, authentic account of the Hajj that is penned by Brother Martin Lopez, also known as Brother Qasim, as we welcome him to Radio Islam International this evening to share this incredible story of this incredible book. Brother Qasim, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Radio Islam.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you doing, Mulana Musa?
Alhamdulillah, very, very good to speak to you and put a face to the many, many rich experiences that are contained in this book. I mean, the way you write the chapters in your life, the chapters in your of your personality that you open up in the book, it's almost as if I know you personally. The great detail that you go into your life and the type of personality, the challenges, your emotions, your moods, everything is contained in this book. So great to be speaking to the man behind the book this evening.
Jazakallah for those kind words and hearing those introductions as well. You say it's as if we almost know each other personally, but I know if you would recall, I attended one of the Hajj classes in Etonville. I think it should have been around March or April. And I don't know if you recall, but I actually, in one of the breaks, you were actually giving that class. In one of the breaks, I was the one to approach you, to just tell you some of the challenges or the nerves in terms of the preparation for Hajj. So now that you do see the face, I'm hoping that you recall the difficult questions that I had posed while you were giving us that, sort of that lecture, so to say.
Yeah, kind of interesting that also somehow featured in the book itself. Maybe not those personal discussions, but the class that was conducted, and what this book then brings out to me is how very much a presenter has a particular idea in mind when they are doing a Hajj class, but you don't know how that message is received. Every person could receive it in a different way because of their own life experiences, and one doesn't know what you say at that particular moment, how it will impact on a person's Hajj journey. So that was fascinating for me. A lot to discuss, and the easiest way for people to get through this discussion is to actually get to the book and enjoy and dip into this Hajj experience through your eyes. But we've got a very short amount of time, a lot that I'd like to discuss. Let's see what we can do here this evening. Just give us the listeners an idea of yourself, Brother Qasim, your personal background in terms of where you come from, and a bit of your own journey with Islam.
Yeah, just a short story, Mulana. In terms of, well, I was born in Mozambique. So I lived there for the first, let's say, 7, 8 years of my life, and then my parents relocated this side to South Africa. in in search of a better life, so to say. So I had the unfortunate circumstance in that I was already on my way to 8, 9 years old, and then I had to restart school because of the language. But I actually had gone into an Afrikaans school, so I attended school at Everest Primary, in the nuclear Bosman area. And then when I was in back then it was standard two, which is grade four. We relocated to Lenasia, and then only then did I start learning English. So I think I've been full circle. But the background is even from my mom's side, I would say at least fundamentally Islam, that was always there. And then obviously my dad is a rebirth. So there's always been, in terms of, being Muslim, but I don't know if I can call it, we weren't practicing, so to say, So there were ups and down phases in our lives where there was a little bit of madrasa in and out, and there was no emphasis in sort of taking our religion seriously. So I think it's only the circumstance through life, through my teenage years, becoming an adult, that things will happen along the way in your life that would start to make you to realize that there is a greater purpose in life rather than
Hmm.
just chasing the next sort of the experiences you start having in life. So I think that's in summary my life. And for me, Hajj, we can discuss how Hajj came about, but even the intention, there was never an intention to actually write a book. So it's just that emotion, that euphoria that comes with returning from Hajj and wanting still to be in the Holy Lands. And personally, I started going through sleepless nights, just yearning firstly to be there, but being fearful of all the intentions and all the items that I would have wanted to put in place, whether I'll be able to carry that forward post Hajj. So I think part of writing the book would have been, if I can document for me personally, going through all those emotions, if I can sort of document it and use it as my own personal reminder too. So I didn't think the book would get to the point where, like you say, I've been fortunate enough for it to be even published, being read by a few people. So yeah, some things happen in
Amazing.
mysterious ways, I suppose. Eh?
Y- Yeah, so brother Kasim, there's this experience of your own. There's a lot of personal challenges that you chronicle in the book, and at some point they were tearing apart your life. And Hajj then is seen by you very seriously, taking this very seriously and meticulously in your preparation, and in the way you paced yourself across Hajj to be able to be this journey of change. It's kind of a cliche, but I get the feeling that you were extremely serious about this. But where does this journey start? I spoke about this yesterday, in actual fact, that we only talk about the moment you get accredited or the moment you jump on the plane, and from there. We kind of say that the Hajj journey begins. You have a very interesting narrative in that you say it was very much in your youth when you visited somebody, and you have such a fond memory of this particular family that until this day you feel as if maybe you can trace the origins of your Hajj journey decades earlier to this particular point.
Okay, it was actually Uncle Ismail, one of our neighbors, where we lived in Extension 10 in Indonesia. So him and his partner had performed Hajj. I think it was the year 96 or 97. I'll have to go back to my notes. But when they actually came back, and they were there for 2 months, so they were there for quite a while. They actually had brought Zamzam water to share with the family and possibly everybody else that would have been sort of attending madrasa. So at that time, I was also in the process of just learning the fundamentals, going to madrasa at Hudson Street in Extension 10. And my family was given, sort of a jug of that Zamzam water. But I recall as well, and I had shared it with my Mulana at the time, that the portion that was given to me. I mean, you have everybody always tells you that the first drink of Zamzam water, make sure that you make a fundamental prayer, dua, that and you have to sort of contemplate and make sure that it comes out right before drinking. I think I went through all that, and also being young. I actually don't recall the full dua that I had made, but I remember actually just drinking it and thinking to myself that this is a bit on the sour side. It's not the sweet water, the zamzam that everybody speaks about. And I remember that evening just feeling so guilty about it that I actually couldn't sleep. So uh, you obviously the next day going to school, coming back home, going to madrasa, and even sharing with the mulana, it would sort of resonate those feelings of guilt. That this is pure water. How did it sort of get me to the point of actually thinking it's better? But I think in terms of them bringing it over, changing it from one container to the next, and storing the water, that would have sort of defaulted the water, or changed the taste of the water itself, of the Zamzam water. So for me, that's where it started. Where wait a second, I actually want to go to the source. I want to have the sub from the spring itself. So as a young teenager, I always viewed the Zamzam water actually being very close to the Kaaba, a natural spring, and then the way the
Mm.
movement of people would have been, or that you could just from the source just drink it. So I think it was one of the lectures that, because I had gone through all the lectures, Mulana Abdurrahman Layli's lectures, in terms of preparation for Hajj. So the steps were there, but they were sort of lost for me personally in between. Just I couldn't get away from not being nervous, as in I wanted, literally to take me hour by hour what we should be doing on Hajj. And the most of
Hmm.
it that I was getting was actually just the essence of it. So yes,
Right.
going back to 96 or 97 would have been that. That's where the intention came from. That yeah,
So
please Almighty, yeah,
a cup of
get
Zamzam,
me,
a cup
please. I
of
want to
Zamzam
go
is
there.
actually wow. So it's a cup
Mm.
of Zamzam that's actually the origin of this particular journey and this particular yearning. And just this shows the spiritual power of this water. It's not just in drinking it and in the sipping, but the memories that come with it. Brother Kasim, I could just request. I think in there's a bit of interference with the wire as you're touching I think your microphone on the
Okay,
so
yeah,
it's
I'll
just
just
creating
put
a
it
bit of
forward.
interference as you're speaking, right? Inshallah. Uh, again, such a beautiful story, and we're just dipping into it. I want to maybe just ask you about your mother. This book takes the reader on a journey, your personal journey for Hajj, but we also get to meet your mother, your interactions with your mother getting lost. What were some of her expectations, her reactions to certain events? What were the blessings, perhaps while you were there, and now in retrospect, that you had performed Hajj with your mother and been at her service?
Okay, well, I'll have to firstly thank her in that it was always her desire. So even when we registered, firstly I actually had applied for her only. I think it was back in 2014 or 2015. So I included myself after that. So it was actually her desire all the time to ensure that she does want to perform Hajj before she gets too old. So I have to accredit her that through her desire, I took the opportunity as well that, okay, let me, form part of the Hajj process as well. But you'll see as you go through the book as well, in that I was actually writing through her in that I had to take care of her, but it was her actually more guiding me in terms of the things that we needed to do. Even the strength with the age, you'll see that all the walking that we had to do. So I think in hindsight, um, I'm hoping that my Hajj, there was more emphasis on it in that I would have wanted to walk in some of the places, but I had to consider her. And I think the experiences that also came through, even taking the bus, in some of the, obviously from Mina to Arafah, etc. Um, something just came in terms of it was not only the Hajj, but it was also me trying to bond more with my mom. So we're quite a few kids, but you'll see that they're all very chatty. And I think I'm the only one, if you can call it black sheep in the family, so to say, where I'm not very many words with my mom. But there was also this desire to know her better, and even through the Hajj, we actually had a few discussions of, her growing up, her experiences. In one instance, she actually saw somebody that she recognized from Mozambique when they were teenagers. It's just unfortunate she didn't catch up to them. So there's a few even intricate details that I didn't include in the book, but I was like, wow, apart from us achieving or performing the Hajj together, it also allowed me to sort of better understand my mom, better to know her, and yeah, she was even to the point where, after Hajj, she's always been thankful to me that I pushed for this Hajj to happen. But yeah, hopefully that even if she's listening now, that it was more from her side, and actually I'm the one that should be thankful
Yes.
that, I've managed to undertake my third Hajj, accompanied by my mother. Yes,
Indeed, Qasim. As I said, the greatest liability in having a discussion on something so rich is time, and we have to do a follow up on this, a much lengthier one. Inshallah, I can meet you in person,
inshallah.
and explore some of the deeper themes of this book. But in just the minute or so that we have left, and people can see. The copy of the book here in my hand, To the Holy Land by Brother Qasim Martin Lopez. You've managed to get it to the mainstream. How have you managed to get this book out beyond just your traditional Muslim audience? I think that's a feat in itself. And have you got any responses to the book from a non-Muslim audience? Just about a minute.
Yeah, thank you, Milan. Well, the intention, even when I was writing it, was okay. I'll share it with my close family, so that's maybe 10, 15 copies, and then I'll place it on the group, the Hajj group that we attended, and I'll ask if anybody's interested in the copy. So I was overwhelmed, in terms of how many people have asked for copies, and the number is still growing. So, um, the one phase of it. The second phase would have been, the joy as well, because you can't relive the euphoria of being in the Holy Lands. But there was such a big joy in just the writing of it. So after writing it, we went through the manuscript. I cleaned it up. There was just this feeling that, what, let's just give it a chance. I've been into one or two bookstores. I asked them, how do I wrote this book, not my whole life, but just, uh, it sort of revolves around the pilgrimage that I undertook. I took a few numbers and I got to find out, all the different distributors in the country. There's about 17 or so that deal with nonfiction.
Mhm.
I started calling around a few, started getting emails, send the manuscript, and within no time, a very short time. So it wasn't very aggressive, but I was just going with the feeling that, let's do this. And if it is a good enough story to be shared, somebody will realize it. And within a very short time, I got a distributor. They said, wow, they enjoyed it so much, they want to assist in distributing. That's the one part. The other thing that gave me great joy is that I'm
Yeah,
starting to realize now that there are non-Muslim people buying it, because people might look at the cover and think, they want to read something that has to do with religion. And I actually did get a response from a non-Muslim to say, wow, he actually applauded me for being that open. And that was the intention as well in the book,
I know.
because even when I go back to read it, there's a lot of personal information and the challenges with the family.
Right.
And sometimes it does give you joy for a non-Muslim to actually tell you, you know what, I'm actually want to, and I'm interested in learning about Islam. And inshallah, that will be guidance for them, to
Inshallah.
to sort of get hidayat.
Absolutely. So, most Muslim or non-Muslim, any human being, this is a valuable contribution to Hajj memoir literature from a South African perspective, and you can explore many names and places that would be familiar to you, especially if you went for Hajj last year or you are South African Haji. To the Holy Land, Martin Lopes, Brother Qasim speaking to us this evening. Do check it out, and you'd get the full story of a very rich and authentic account of Hajj, interspaced with psychological, medical, leadership advice, and much, much more. Thank you so much, Jazakallah khairan, for speaking to us on our Hajj broadcast here on Radio Islam International. Brother Qasim, barakallahu feek, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
It's 2 minutes past 7, a bit late for the news. Let's head over to that.